There is a destructive force at work in the world, and one of its oldest tactics is to get us to voluntarily abandon a life of fulfillment once it arrives. It's a tactic responsible for the death of more joy than perhaps any other. And that tactic is this: getting us to believe that we need more to have enough. That true happiness and fulfillment is always another away. The life we've always wanted, never in the now, always in the next. In Jim Carrey's speech to the 2014 graduating class of Maharishi University of Management, Carrey reflects on this aspect of the human condition, delivering this dagger quote: "You're going to look at a person like me and say, how could we ever hope to reach those kinds of heights, Jim? This is the voice of the ego, and if you listen to it, there will always be someone who's better than you. No matter what you gain, ego will not let you rest. He will tell you that you cannot stop until you've left an indelible mark on the earth, until you've achieved immortality." How tricky is this ego that it would tempt us with a promise of something we already possess? What Carrey is referencing here is something we all find true in our experience. We arrive to what we thought we wanted, only to find we want more. Our ego always finds a way to move the target. We could come into the entire world only to insist on having the universe. To be fair to our ego, this unfortunate feature that wires us to always want more might partially be blamed on the fact that, in its infancy, our ego was trained in a world of scarcity, where more meant survival and this function was useful. But as a species, we progressed past widespread scarcity, especially in the West, long ago. Find ourselves stuck with the same Paleolithic emotion that drives us to always seek and desire more. It's a default state that puts the unaware on a hedonic hamster wheel, which promises happiness but never delivers. This sad state of affairs is not new. It's something we've been struggling with as a species for millennia. 2,000 years ago, the Roman stoic Seneca advised his friend of this tendency in humans in his moral letters to Lucullus. In letter 4, Seneca observes the tragedy of humans making a fool's bargain, exchanging their most valuable asset, time, for superfluous or unimportant things. Quote, "Do you know what limits that law of nature ordains for us? Merely to avert hunger, thirst, and cold. In order to banish hunger and thirst, it is not necessary for you to pay court at the doors of the purse proud, or to submit to the stern frown, or to the kindness that humiliates. Nor is it necessary for you to scour the seas or go campaigning. Nature's needs are easily provided and ready to hand. It is the superfluous things for which men sweat, the superfluous things that wear our togas threadbare, that force us to grow old in camp, that dash us upon foreign shores. That which is enough is ready to our hands." End quote. Enough, the enemy of more, what the ego tries to convince us we don't have, sending us off to the edge of the world in search of it, only for us to arrive and realize that it, enough, was with us all along. We sent ourselves away for nothing. This common tragedy of the human experience is the topic of another of Seneca's letters, letter 2. Quote, "It is not the man who has little, but the man who craves more that is poor. What does it matter how much a man has laid up in his safe or in his warehouse, how large are his flocks and how fat his dividends, if he covets his neighbor's property and reckons not his past gains but his hopes of gains to come? Do you ask what is the proper limit to wealth? It is, first, to have what is necessary, and second, to have what is enough." End quote. This, then, is the antidote to remaining poor the rest of our lives, knowing we have enough. This knowledge disarms the ego when it launches its assaults on our contentment. This takes back the wheel when our ego wants to steer us away from ourself and toward whatever more is telling us we need. If ego had its way, we'd be almost arriving the rest of our life, always after the real thing that will make us happy, but never possessing it. Always just about to get where we can start creating for creation in itself, rather than creating as a means to some other end. More fame, more fortune, more recognition, more happiness. Only the knowledge and awareness of how we have enough can get us off this conveyor belt to the grave and give us what we're looking for. Only from a place of enough can we stop chasing what we think will fill us up and start creating from a place that actually will, because it needs the approval of nothing outside itself. Sure, this might mean you do less, but you will have more. You might look less successful by the world standards, but you'll actually be more successful at what really matters. That is, being true to yourself, keeping your soul, and doing what is within you to share your gifts with the world. Because you won't be busy chasing more, you'll have time to release what's in your core. That, my friends, is my definition of the good life. Living a life true to you and the gifts placed inside you. And knowing that is enough. P.S. I'm not advocating against ambition, only against its excesses and us aiming it poorly. In fact, a healthy amount of ambition aimed in the right direction is exactly what I think the world needs. I'm also not arguing for complacency. There's a fine line between being content and complacent, one that's crossed when we use the words content as an excuse to remain in a state of passive non-doing. It is at that point all the virtue of contentment grows poisonous and becomes vice. The trick to discerning between the two, it seems to me, lies in the doing. To truly be content is to do what we feel our core calls to us, and then being at ease with what we've done. To be complacent, on the other hand, is to not do at all. It is a state of inaction where we do not even attempt to bring forth what is within us.